The work the SAG Foundation is doing is enormously important. From the up-and-coming actors to the veterans like myself, the foundation is here to help all of us.
As fellow artists, we've all been there. It's crucial that we remember where we came from and help out however we can.
For over 25 years, the SAG Foundation has been the industry's best-kept secret, and we're out to change that.
As natural storytellers, it's great that we have the opportunity to give back through the Children's Literacy Program.
A disaster like Sandy really brings it home with how crucial the SAG Foundation is. Their donation drive helped so many people in need.
The seminars and workshops are crucial. Working together is what makes us better.
The SAG Foundation is a nonprofit organization that relies solely on donations to keep these important programs free for everyone.
The SAG Foundation can't do it alone. We need you.
If you need help, ask.
If you can help, give.
We're all in this together.
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 Together, everyone benefits.
Join the cause.
Back now.
Hello again to everyone in-house, and to those that are on the live stream. My name is Dennis Baker. I'm the Life Raft Program Director. Thanks for viewing, and all of you, thanks for coming out. We have a super awesome event tonight. The panel is amazing. The amount of work they've done and the long that they've been in the business. They were just telling stories backstage, and we were just blown away about how much they've just been around and have stories to share. So we're going to jump into that very soon. A couple of things. We're trying to be social media savvy, so we want to let you know we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, but even most important was on YouTube, youtube.com/SAG Foundation. There you can watch all the live streams that happen between Conversations and Life Raft. And also, as soon as the event's over, say you heard a great nugget of information, you didn't get a chance to write it down, you can go home directly and watch it on YouTube, and then you can share it out to your friends. So I encourage you to like, subscribe, follow all those things, because that's how we're starting to get our information out, because as you all know, things fill up fast, and so you want to know immediately when something's happening. Last thing I'm going to say is we are a nonprofit. We are separate than the union, which means we do not get your dues or initiation fees. Let me repeat that. You laugh because some people are just get confused sometimes. We are nonprofit, separate, which means we simply function on grants and donations, as much as the video said, and we get grants based on people attending and filling out the surveys, and also leaving comments. We use those, or things you say on Twitter. We can pull those if you like an event and share it out with your friends and say something that you learned. We use that information. So social media is a way for us to gauge what people are talking about. But also another way to think of it is we're here to help you, but we also want to know that you're part of the community and to help each other. So some ways to think about that is we have a donation box on the right. If you can throw a couple bucks in there at the end of the event, that's so appreciative. Also on the website, there's a little donate button. Think of it this way. For us, every seat costs $16 between staff and programming and everything. So every event you go to costs us $16. So maybe $5 a month, $1 a month, throwing a couple bucks every time you're here actually helps us out. Another way to think about it too is we have a financial assistance program. We understand that work ebbs and flows, and so we ask that to help each other out. If you have, or if you're in need, give us a call and maybe we can help with a bill or something. So if you're in need, give us a call, but if you have it in your means to help, that $5 might be helping the person next to you pay their phone bill and be able to make it for another month. So some other ways of thinking about it. So thank you for coming. I'm gonna give it to our moderator, Jessica Gardner.
I did that on purpose to get a laugh right when I come up on stage. Hi, I am Jessica Gardner. I'm the owner of the Actors Key West, and I've moderated so many of the SAG Foundation's conversation, but this is my first Life Raft, so I'm really excited to be here. And what a great panel at a really great time, just when everybody's gearing up for episodic season, waiting for it to get here. Tonight it's Life of a TV Guest Star, and I'm going to bring up some people who you recognize, and I'm going to tell you how you probably recognize them so we can just get that out of the way. First of all, you probably recognize him as Mr. Heckles from Friends, Fake Kramer from Seinfeld, or the films Escape from Alcatraz and Billy Madison. Please welcome Larry Hankin. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You probably recognized her as as she likes to put it, every mean nurse on TV ever. I personally recognize her as the social worker Liz Dade from 4 seasons of ER. Please welcome Tara Karsian. Thank you. You probably recognize our next guest as Ray Romano's mopey cousin Gerard on Everybody Loves Raymond, Elaine's forgetful date on Seinfeld, and Monica's bossy co-worker on Friends. Please welcome Fred Stoller. You probably recognize our next guest as Kirby Carlisle from the HBO show Arliss, or some of you might recognize him as Randy of the Redwoods from MTV. Please welcome Jim Turner. And last but definitely not least, you probably recognize him as Seabass Yates from Comedy Central's Halfway Home, or as Dean Spreck from Community. Please welcome Jordan Black. But of course, besides those roles that I mentioned, all of these people here on the panel have ridiculously long resumes, and we're really excited to have you all here to share your stories with us. I'd like to start with just asking how all of you got into acting in the first place. What got you started? You want to start and go down the list?
I got fired from everything else. I can't hold a job. I can't, the longest job I've ever had in my entire life is 2 weeks, other than acting. I get fired a lot. I don't care. I'm not interested. And I have other things to do. That's why. And acting is the only job I can hold.
When did
I don't
you
know
start?
why. What?
How old were you when you started?
How old was I? Well, I graduated, I guess, in my 20s, when I graduated college. I went to college as an industrial designer. I got a degree in industrial design. And then I went to Greenwich Village and put a knife in the heart of my parents by not becoming an industrial designer, all that money down the drain. And I went to Greenwich Village and just started hanging out with Carl Gottlieb, who you know from Jaws. He was my roommate, and we just hung out, and I was a stand-up comedian, and I still am, even though you may think I'm an actor. I'm a stand-up comedian. That's really what I am. So that's how I got into acting. I couldn't hold a job.
Tara?
Jessica. How did I, right out of high school, I decided that this is what I wanted to do, and my parents were in the industry, so I stupidly decided that this is what I wanted to do, and I just started. I was pretty young.
In LA, New York?
I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
God! Oh, couple.
You
I
people
never-
rock. We're meeting outside afterwards. We have a little club, but yeah, so always here.
Nice.
Yeah. Your turn.
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I was pathologically shy, but paralyzed with fear. What am I going to do? I knew the real world wasn't for me. What was that degree? I didn't even know what that word was.
I don't remember anymore.
Industrial
design.
There was no thought I could really do anything, and I used to like character actors, weirdos, like the guy from Dog Day Afternoon who chickened out in the beginning, or I never thought, I could be a star or someone macho, just the weirdos, weird character actors. But I didn't know how you did that. And then I went to a comedy club with my older sister. This is long before the comedy boom, and someone said, yeah, Rich, Jimmy Walker, Freddie Prinze, they did their act at a place called The Improv, won in the Tonight Show and got discovered, and then got on a TV show. So I thought, all right, I'll be a comedian, even though my mother, I have a book, I guess I'll plug subtly, and there was one chapter called You're Too Depressed to Be a Comedian, because that's what my mother said when I quit college. How the hell are you going to make people laugh? You're so depressed. It was inconceivable to her, and I could understand that, because now everyone's a comedian. I'm probably sure everyone in this room has thought of doing stand-up. Back in 1978, when I quit college, and I went, it was just, Shecky Green, and, so I fantasized going on the Tonight Show, going, this is my second time doing stand-up. I thought I would just get on the improv, get discovered, do the Tonight Show, and be on a sitcom. That didn't happen. But that's what got me into stand-up, which led to finally getting an agent and just doing all these guest star parts.
I didn't set out to be an actor at all. I was a sort of a class clown type in high school and everything because my parents moved every year, and so I was always trying to be funny and trying to be funny. And when I was in college, a friend of mine signed me up to audition for the Bertolt Brecht play Man is Man, and Terry O'Quinn, who was in Lost, he was,
and the first Stepfather movie.
Yeah, he was.
Love him.
He is the only stepfather, as far as I'm concerned.
He's great. Yeah.
But Terry Quinn was the star of it. He was gaily gay, and she told me, you're auditioning Friday. I said, what are you talking about? I'm not auditioning. Why? What do you? Oh, Jim, you're so funny. You'd be great in this. What the? So I went. Just to sort of appease her, and I didn't prepare anything, and I went in, and the director said, what are you reading? And I said, what do you mean? I'm not reading anything. I didn't prepare anything, if that's what you want. And he goes, okay, what are you reading? And I said, I'm reading Naked Lunch. He said, can you get that out and read me some of Naked Lunch? And I got out Naked Lunch, and I started reading him, and he cast me. I had the second biggest part next to Terry. And then there was a bunch of people in the play that started a comedy group, and they asked me to be in it. And then that's how I made my living for years, doing this comedy group. It's called Duck's Breath Mystery Theater. And
Minneapolis? The Higgins
Iowa
guys?
City.
Oh, okay.
We did shows in Minneapolis, so that just turned into, being an actor, an actual actor.
For me, when I was a little kid, I grew up in the small town in the Midwest. There was nothing. Hollywood might as well have been on Mars, but I was obsessed with television, so I watched everything on television constantly. And I was particularly obsessed with Fonzie on the Happy Days. And I went through a phase where I wanted to be Fonzie. I went to Catholic school, so on free dress day, I would wear the closest thing I had to a leather jacket, which was a burgundy denim jacket. And I'd wear that, and that'd be my Fonzie jacket, and I'd flip the collars up.
Oh.
And in my 6-year-old, 7-year-old logic, I was like, well, I want to be like the Fonz. Fonzie's an actor, so I want to be an actor. Now, thank God I didn't know Fonzie was a mechanic on the show. But then I'd be a mechanic. I'm probably not kidding. So one day my mother asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said I wanted to be an actor. And so then she put me in drama classes, and I never thought of doing anything else.
Nice. Does anybody on our panel remember their first TV spot that they booked?
Probably everybody.
Laverne and Shirley? Nice, that's a great start.
The interesting thing about that, which I guess gets us into the topic, is it was really great because Penny Marshall was really funny. I'd watched her on television. I'd watched that show, and so I was in the committee, which is a adjunct. We split from Second City, so it was that kind of thing up in San Francisco, and they flew me down, and I did it. But we worked out, Penny worked out a really great dance for the show. I was supposed to be dating her. That was my character. And so she wanted to rehearse, her character wanted to rehearse dancing, so we worked out a little thing. And we ended up on the couch where I do a dip, and we ended up on the couch, and I'm on top of her. It was kind of funny, But her brother was directing. Gary Marshall was directing. And we had worked this off on the side, so when we said, well, you got something to show me? And we did it, and boom, on the couch. And then he just grabs me, and he shows me, he says, you don't touch the star. And that was my introduction to TV acting.
Yikes. Anyone else?
Sorry. I was lucky that my first job was the worst one. They were trying to fire me. And so it was so hellacious that everything was great after that. It was such an awful experience. It's a show no one heard of called Singer and Son, about a Jewish deli, the late Harold Gould, the late Esther Roll, And he had no one to take it, inherit it, and the joke was two black guys, was supposed to run a Jewish deli, and I was a guide. I see a black guy, and I run in screaming because he came in the store, because that's what you do when you see a black guy, if you're skinny, and you run because he's going to kill you.
That's what I do.
Yeah. So basically, it's a hellacious, the guest star life, because you have different people giving you different notes. Like the star can say, do it this way. The director can say, do it this way. But then at the end of the day, something hellacious called a network run-through, where the executive producers are having their arms folded, go, why is he doing it like that? The director goes, I didn't tell him to do that. And he did. If you're a guest star, you're gone. You know what I mean? So everyone was telling me different notes. It was my first job, and the guy who ran it wanted to fire me, and the late Brandon Tartikoff, who saw me and said, no, keep him. And that's actually the first time I heard the concept of, my book's called Maybe We'll Have You Back, because that's what you hope for. You hope to stay. You planted something there. And I remember all the hopeful people going, I'm the mailman, so if there's always mail, they'll bring me back. I eat fruit salad in the corner of the deli. And little did I know, for the next 20 years, I'd be like them, desperately hoping whatever I did could, I deliver the cones, and you always need cones on the highway. So
you never know.
So basically, and like I said, it was so awful, walking on eggshells. At my next gig, they were so nice. Like, what was that movie with, I forgot what it was called, where it was the Rainland, where the Illustrated Man, where it's so hellacious, and then you finally find freedom, and they were so nice the next show. So you ever have that where you have something awful, it's almost a blessing?
Never.
Because everything is great after that, but yes, Singer and Sons.
The first TV show I ever did here is very weird. My comedy group had stopped performing. I was living in San Francisco, and I was doing yard work for a friend of mine, because he was paying me $5 an hour in 1986 to just move stuff around his yard. And my friend of mine was in the art department of a pilot called Once a Hero that they were doing down here, ABC was doing. And she said, oh my God, she called me up, Jim, you gotta be this guy. They can't find the star of this TV show, and it's perfect for you. And I said, no, what do you mean? I don't have an agent, I don't even have a picture. Send me a picture of you. So I sent her a photo of me, and she took it into the director, Claudia Weil, and they said, we want to bring you down for this show. And I got food poisoning the night before. My girlfriend made me get up. Now my wife. I was like, forget it. I'm not driving to LA to audition for a TV show. I'm sick. I don't know and I was puking all night, and she started singing at the top of her lungs, get up, we're going to Hollywood. She sings in this fake opera voice, and she bounced on the bed. She stood over me on the bed going, get up. And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't know her that well at the time. So we got up, and she drove the whole way, and we pulled in, and I didn't know what a pilot was. I did not know what a TV pilot was. And I went into this room, and I would look like crap, and my hair was like this, and I was pale white. And the assistant says, so do you need sides? And I said, I don't know. And what are they? And she kind of, ooh. And then there was another guy auditioning, coming like, oh God, oh man. And she gave me these little things, and I went, oh, I see, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't know what TV sides, I didn't know what a TV pilot was, I'd never been on TV. And I went into an audition, and I was so sick, and it was like a producer session. It was the director, and the executive producer, and the writer, and the casting director. And I read a scene, and they went, did you read the pilot? And I said, no. Do you have any idea what you're reading? And I went, God, this is kind of my life, isn't it? Do you have any idea what? And I said, no, I didn't read anything. And they said, well, you know what? Are you okay? I said, I'm really sick. And they said, take the script, read it tonight, get a night's sleep, and let's try it again tomorrow. And I went in the next day, and it was like, I read a scene, and they went, okay, the bottom of 34, let's read that scene right there. And we read that scene. Turn to page 62, read that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, sure. And I read like 5 scenes. And I thought, well, that felt good. I mean, that's never happened since. So and they walked me down the hall. They got up and they said, we need tape. Do you have tape? And I was going, And I drove home. This is pre-cell phones. And I drove back to San Francisco up Highway 1. So it took like 3 days. And when I got home, I mean, this was I don't know why I went down there. I got home, there were like 20 messages. Jim, call us now. There's a producer session tomorrow night. Jim, call us. And I called and they said, where were you? And I said, what do you mean? I was driving, man. And they flew me up for the producer session, and I eventually had to go to two network auditions because the head of the network wasn't there, and it was a superhero. I was supposed to play a superhero, and I just didn't look like, that. And all the guys they brought in were like these superhero types, and I didn't have that. And I got cast. I got cast as the star of this pilot, my first audition in TV. And they ordered the show, they picked it up, and signed a 7-year contract, all that stuff. And then 3 weeks before they shot the first episode, they fired me. And this was after being sent around to, the meet and greet things where you meet the major advertisers.
Does that count as a first job? You didn't do it?
Because he did the pilot.
He got paid.
I did the pilot.
Right?
And
you did it.
I got paid for every episode they shot that year. I had a, so it was a good story.
Good story.
Good news.
Great story.
But I did get fired.
My first job was on a show, for those of you who are very young, there was a show called Unsolved Mysteries in the 1990s. It was sort of like America's Most Wanted, which I also did that show, but that was not my first job. But I did Unsolved Mysteries, and I was really psyched. That's how I got my SAG card. And I was really psyched because before I studied at the Groundlings out here, for those who don't know, the Groundlings is an improv comedy theater. Before I studied at the Groundlings, the only thing I ever auditioned for or worked on was dramatic stuff. And so I went in, I auditioned for this role where I was going to play a killer. And, you're playing a real person. This was a crime that had literally just happened here in LA, and it was really awful. And we shoot it, and I'm so psyched, and I get to shoot a gun, which is so much fun. I get why people have that. I don't own a gun myself, but I get why people love them because they're incredibly fun. It was so much fun shooting a gun. And so we shot, and they were trying to get it out right away because they wanted to catch these people right away. And they did catch them, but before my episode aired, and I was bummed. Isn't that mean of me? I was like, they couldn't have caught him next week. Come on. The one time the LAPD gets their man. There's like 3,000 unsolved murders in LA, and they got that guy. They got the guy I didn't need them to get right away.
So and you could have got a residual check if they reran it.
If they really hadn't not caught him. My America's Most Wanted, where I played a victim, did air, though. And then they caught them.
Good. That's good.
I'm good luck if you need a criminal caught. Have me do the reenactment. They will catch you.
Tara, do you remember your first job?
Yes, my first job was on Who's the Boss? And I'm going to do that again. Who's the Boss? Whoa! And I played student number 2. And I had actually heard rumors that Tony Danza was kind of mean. So I was a little terrified walking in the first day. And we walked in, and he stood up and came over to us, knew our names before we introduced ourselves, brought us over, introduced us to every member of the cast. Wow. On tape night, he had flowers for all of us in our dressing rooms. And it was, unlike yours, a fabulous first job. And a month later, I came back as Debbie. So student number 2 got a name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal. That's always the dream.
That's it, baby.
Just give me a name.
I was living the dream with Tony Danza.
We had 2 emailed questions that were the same question. Now seems like a good time to ask it. Did any of you have the experience of booking multiple co-stars before hitting the guest star level? Was that an experience?
Oh
for
yeah,
anyone?
I did mostly co-star work until I was able to bump up to get bigger roles, for sure.
Well, it's weird because I didn't, but then you go through a thing where I did a bunch of guest stars, and they go, oh, it's a co-star. Your agent thinks they're justifying their job. I don't think you should do it, so we're going to make it called a guest star. So it all depends. It's all, semantics. So now the scrolls go so quickly. You know what I mean? We have the same agent. Like, I want to make sure your thing is shared with, and I'm always, don't make trouble. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think a co-star is just one or two lines. But then if you get to a certain point, like Larry, or I shouldn't speak for you, but if you've done a lot, they'll want you for just one or two lines, and they may say, we'll give you that, but you'll get to be a guest star, and you get guest star paid.
Also, I think the industry has changed a lot certainly in the last 10 years. The co-star, then the one-day guest star, and
large co-star.
Yeah, and it all kind of blurred.
It was.
In other words, I'll take it if the money's right. Yeah. I don't care what it's called.
Yeah, you do the second cop, the man, and then I didn't judge it by star or co-star. It was separate card. That's what you're going for, separate card.
Does everyone know the difference between co-star and guest star? Does everyone know? Okay, so we should probably explain that. Well, co-star is has less lines, I think under five.
It's five. It's
under
the most
five
that you can
lines.
have
Guest star
be
tends to have a
considered.
bigger role and be more integral to whatever the storyline is that week. And the co-star is just the guy who has one line when you come into the coffee
But
place.
like I said, sometimes it'll seem like and it's a co-star, and the age, like for example, Sarah Silverman, who I know, friends. Oh, it was just 2 lines as a taser cop. It would be fun to do it. Oh, it's just a co-star. I don't think you should do it. It'll hurt you. It doesn't matter. But if it's just, if someone asks for me and I don't have to audition, it seems like fun. Semantics, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Well, there's, in my my later years, you start to understand what's really going on, and so this is what I do now, which seems like what I was doing when I first started, and that is, the less lines I have, the better. I just want maybe a nod, maybe a hi. Because here's why I found out. Now, the pay is different. You get a guest star, you get separate card. I don't really care about that because that's taken over by managers and business. I don't have an input on that. I can't say, get me more money, and he goes, yeah, I'll try. And then he comes back and he says, I tried. But one line, here's what happens. You're on, and I'm on Vegas. I had 2 lines, and everybody says, hey, man, you were on Vegas last night. I thought, that's all I'm going for.
Yeah, that's
all you need. You were on Vegas last night. I saw you. You did. Cool.
Yeah, you're a lot.
1 line. Fuck it.
Well, that's what
I got paid. I got the big money.
That's what I said.
But the last line, you don't want to memorize. Auditions, and you don't audition after a while, but even if you do, it's like an interruption of your day. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on. So the less is more. I'm saying the less is more. Yeah. I'll take the one man, fine, the cop, second cop, fine. I'm on Vegas, okay. Cool.
Are you saying if they pay you the same amount?
No, you keep on bumping up because the agent takes care of that. He says,
that's
no, Larry wants...
So it might be a co-star to someone else, but if you reached what you've reached, then it's still
it's
less lines,
a
but
guest
still
star role, but if I have 1 line, or even I'll ask him, I say, can I say less, or could you give this line to him? I do that.
For me, it's...
Don't sweat. That's the point. Don't sweat.
For me, I'm always thinking, if I can just get 2 scenes, then I'm in it. Like, I've noticed that if I'm in 1 scene, then it's easy for people to miss that I was in it, whether it's a movie or whether it's a television show. But if I'm in 2 scenes, I know everyone's going to say, I saw you in that thing. Whatever it is, everyone's going to say, I saw you in that thing. And I'm always like, oh, this is the second scene. All right. Then after that, I'm like, I don't care. I don't have to be in anything else in this.
The other thing, by the way, is the more lines you say, the more chances are for mistakes, for screw-ups, for insulting the star, which I've done many times. And so that's the other thing. I kind of pull back, So the less do I have a scene with the star? Yeah. Okay. Well, give me 1 line.
No, I'm like you. I don't want. I stay out of people's way. You know, I don't like when I wrote on Seinfeld. It's like, you know, Larry would walk by, kind of. Oh, I don't want him to see me. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to annoy him because I'm standing there. But yeah. You know, it's weird. Like when you do a one-camera show, like a movie. Even if it's one line, it's all on you. It's your scene. Even if you wait around on a sitcom, you could have one line, but it's like a 4 or 5 hour taping, and you're sitting in the thing to go here are the flowers. So yeah, it's just.
Especially on a sitcom, if you have a lot of lines, you know, you rehearse for 4 days, and then you rehearse for the writers. Then you rehearse for, you know, the suits upstairs, and each time they change it. And I have dyslexia. So they're changing a lot of lines that it takes me like, you know, 10 or 15 hours to remember, and then they change it the next day. Who needs it? Give me one line, one scene, that's it. Fuck it.
Well, that's why maybe I am where I'm like him, and I never thought I remember I was seeing a therapist. I said, I want to be like the guy who's in 2 lines in a movie. Who's that guy? Who is he? And you wait to the credits. A man by bus. He was funny. And that's who I aspired to be, and that's what I ended up being. And my shrink said, shouldn't you have bigger dreams than that? I go, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I would have a house if I go, I'm a star. But I have his thinking, like, yeah, less stress. Right. Yeah. Because, yeah, you're on eggshells as a guest star. And it's hard. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the less you have, the harder it is to memorize, because you're saying weird things out of context. You're just coming in going, the parameter's there, and the freckleac, and you leave. If you're a normal person, you're having a conversation, it's back and forth. But when the analogy is like trying to jump on a merry-go-round midstream, whatever, and just jump back off it. And you're always in the back. You don't hear what they're saying, and you're waiting for your cue. And you come in, hey, and then you leave. You know what I mean? If you're on the set for a while, you're into it. So I'm probably not allowed to curse, am I? I'll try not to. Okay. When I wrote on Seinfeld, there was a guy, and he had one line, and Larry goes, this guy got one effing line, he can't get it right. And I wanted to say, hey, that's the hardest, because you're the pressure with one line, you know what I'm saying? And I always say, like, when you're a guest star, you're on eggshells, like, we can't flub a line and crack up, and the guy goes, we messed that up. It's like, you know, you got to hit it out of the park, and that's why, like you, I don't like pressure, and that's why.
When you're the guest star, you don't want to be the reason that something goes wrong ever. Oh. You don't. That's the one thing that can't happen. Like the stars can flub a line, and everybody laughs, whatever, you know, but you cannot be that person at all, because everybody's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's the problem? You know, why did we hire? That's what you're in your head. You're thinking. They're thinking, why did we hire this person?
Oh, don't give them a reason to think they made a mistake. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I guess the one thing about having one line that is hard is you don't have a run up to it. In other words,
That's
you don't have lines to. You come on cold and say something either funny or not or whatever. But yeah, you don't have that. But still, I'll take the one line.
Tara, what about you? How do you feel about bigger roles? Will you turn roles down? Will you take whatever's?
No,
what do you think?
I won't turn any. No, that's not true. I do turn things down, but I'll only turn them down if I find it really offensive or just not, or if it's something I've done, like Mean Nurses, a lot. But I think, you know, Fred said something, and it's true. When you're doing a guest star, it's starting the first day of school. You know, you're going in, nobody wants to be your best friend for a week, you know? So go in, do your work, try not to screw it up, and have quiet dignity as an actor, you know?
Stay out of the way.
Stay out of the way. I see so many people on shows that I want to go, oh, shut up, stop talking, because they're trying to make their mark. They're trying to get the producers to remember them. Have the producers remember you because you did good work and you kept your mouth shut.
Well, that's an interesting point for us to bring up is how do you make your mark and stay out of the way? Because we have the pressure to score. Right. We want to, be brought back, but at the same point, you don't want to, like, when I was on Raymond, one of the times, like, I did a line, And then I said, yeah, whatever. I left my keys in the car, and I did a grin. And Ray Romano goes, did you just do that on your own? I go, yeah, I took a liberty. But it got a big laugh, because it's almost like you're secretly throwing in a little trick, but you're afraid to, yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. You try. I remember the first time that, because I always, since I come from Second City and improvising, you read a line and you go, oh, well, I could say it better, you go up to the director, is it okay if I change, can I just say it this way? No, you can't. And then, in the old days, I don't know if it's now, because I haven't done it in a while, but if he said, well, let me find out, you go to the director, they have to send upstairs to the writer. So it's a big deal, and the writer comes down and he calls, he says, there's an actor down here who wants to change the line.
A guest actor.
And then, and they go, no. And okay, fine. But I gave it a shot, okay. So you stop trying, and then one day, and I remember it was like all of a sudden you're bar mitzvah, or you grow up. You say, can I change that? And he goes, oh yeah, sure. And you go, I'm there. That's it. That's all I was going for. I can say it the way I want to, and all of a sudden you're now in high school. It's really cool.
But I never feel I reach a comfort zone. You feel you get to a certain level,
of course you're on the bottom.
Right, but then, you have to audition still. You know what I'm saying? It's just...
Yeah, let's talk about...
TV stars have to audition. I mean, big stars have to audition. Everybody has to audition.
Yeah, but I know that, but for what?
But we have to audition. Like to pay our bills, like big TV stars audition just to get a bigger
I'm
jet.
talking about when, this guy wanted me to audition for a sad sack plumber, a guy I've worked for. I mean, or nebbishy guy who points to a sign. You get to a point, like Larry says, you get old, you go, well, they remember me, it's...
But they don't. That's
All
the
right,
problem.
then I'll
I went
take
in
the
for
risk.
this cop show a couple years ago, and there was one line, and I went in, there were two parts, man and guy, and it was literally one line. And I went in, and I thought, Jesus, I knew one of the writers, and I thought, one line, I mean, can't they see that I can, and I go in, and there were probably 20 guys, roughly my age, faces that I went, oh, that's the guy from so, and that's the guy from so, and they're all dressed up in our suits on a hot day, waiting to go in and read one line. And I went, you know what, you just got to. You just have to.
Well, if it kills your soul, I mean, it depends. No, I'm saying...
Well, you need to find a way that it doesn't kill your soul.
Well, I haven't figured that out. I'll give you an example with me. Like, the producers, I work with them on Suddenly Susan and Murphy Brown, then we're doing Hannah Montana. And they wanted me to audition for something. And I've worked for them like 8, 9 times on multiple shows. And so I find when that happens with me, what that means is they like me, but they're not quite sure I'd be right for it. And so I always go, I'm not right for it. And then I didn't do the audition. Then they gave me like a low-key casting guy. So what usually happens is, you know what I'm saying, when people who are real fans of mine and work with me, and if it's a little no-brainer, a little part, it means they're not sure I could do it. And I like it when they're really sure I can do it, and for these little things.
But you have to remember their jobs are on the line, too. That's part of the reason, like, even though I've worked with Fred 1,000 times, now I'm working for someone else. If I make this call and it's wrong, it's on me. So I need someone else to say, well, you looked at the tape. You approved them as well. I think that's a lot of it, too, why they call you.
Also, and what it also comes down to is what you said about the only things I would not do if it's offered is, and when I turn down auditions, it's these corny, I've morphed into these, the Nickelodeon live action, no running in the hallway, it's so vaudeville. And if it's a thing where I have my shirt off going, I'm a Saka dad, and I have my kids thing on my chest, that's what I won't do.
Offer only.
But I'll take my shirt off here. But, whoa, that's what you're trying to get. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm saying, degrading, not that, yeah.
How about some advice for TV auditions?
I'll give you advice. No, it took me a long time to learn this, that I wasted money on acting coaches and would beat me up, syllable for syllable. My friend, what did I do wrong? A friend, you know, and I used to do stand-up, so an audition isn't like stand-up where you could get them like a few minutes into it. You either are they're with you or not. I never had an audition where you feel you're not connecting, then all of a sudden I do a line, wait a minute, now he's good. You know what I mean? So my friend wrote on Raymond for 9 years, so a lot of auditions I go, let me ask you something. My gut tells me your first beat has to be really, he goes, we know when they walk through the door. You're either the guy or not. So I'm not gonna be, you know, I'm not gonna be like a DA on Law and Order. You know, it's a distraction, you know what I mean? He's off. You know, I'm not going to be like a racist cop in the heat of the night. So I just carry myself as a weird, quirky guy. So yeah, you come in if they want homeless guy or... No, he knows. He's been that. Or guy, the professor. They would sit up in their seats. They'd go, this guy, you know. If you came in as the, you know...
If they want black guy.
Yeah. So I realize my thing is prepare, but you're either the guy or not. Yes, you have to prepare, but don't beat yourself up for every syllable. I should have had them with this, that. That's what I say.
My goal when I go into an audition, because I primarily audition for comedies, is I'll look at something and go like, I'm so not right. The way they've written this is not with me in mind. But my goal every time is to go and just make them laugh. That's it. Leave. At least they know you're funny. So if they decide to go in a different way, they know you're funny. And if they decide he's not right for this, then they might think of you for something else. I mean, like even on Community, I went in for Community for 2 times before they offered me the role of Dean Spreck. And you know, so the first 2 times I went in, I didn't get it. You know, but then they remembered me and they had me come back in. And so even if you know, like, and when I auditioned for Community the first time, it was for the Dean Pelton role that Jim Rash plays. And I remember sitting in there and looking at all these faces, familiar faces of guys who look like the dean of a college. And I was like, oh, they got this right. Yeah, him, you know. And but then they called me back. So you just go in and whatever your goal is to show them that you can do this acting thing, whether it's comedy, whether it's drama. That's your opportunity to show them that you can do that, as opposed to trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I think that's the mistake I made for years was now I got to try to go in and be this person that doesn't come natural to me. And I've since learned to know, show them who I am, and then hopefully if this role isn't right, down the line there'll be a role that is right for me, whether it's on this project, because people move from project to project. These producers are going to move on to other projects. So, and you hope that they'll remember you, even if it's just remembering you when you walk in to audition from another time. They might go like, oh, I remember this guy, he was funny or whatever.
And if you were, you know, on time, pleasant, and did it all as well as you could, I do everything as me. That's all I do. And they will remember you. They'll go, okay, we didn't like it, but boy, we like that guy. And they will have you back. I'm going in tomorrow to this show, Good Luck Charlie, for the 8th audition. 8th audition. And I've had a pin in me probably 4 of those times. And I went into Grey's Anatomy over 10 times. Wow. And finally, I just couldn't make it. I was in Chicago, and they asked me to come in the next day, and I said, I'm in Chicago, I can't do anything. And they offered it to me. It was really funny.
That's great.
But you also, you have no idea what they're looking for. And you read stuff and you go, this isn't me. This isn't anything like me. You just go do it. The 2 other times I booked regulars on series, Arliss, and then there was a show called If Not For You that Hank Azaria and Elizabeth McGovern are in. And I went in for a part that I just can't do this kind of stuff. But I did it. And the guy said, would you read this? And I went out in the hallway and I read this part, and it was like it was written for me. It was like somebody had called me up and had followed me my entire life. I went, holy mackerel, I'm going to hit this out of the yard. And I did, and my take on that then was, nobody is going to do this better than me. And I did it great, and I got cast, and it was a part that ran for 7 episodes, but so what? And because I went in for the other part. Arliss was the same way. I was brought in for this very uptight Republican accountant that Michael Boatman later got, and I read it, and they went, can you read this part? Go out in the hall, work on this, come back in. And that's the part I got. And so you just go out and you do as best as you can.
It's interesting you said the thing about going in 8 times for this, 10 times for that, because I was talking to it, because as actors, we get in our heads and we'll go like, well, how come they're not picking me? How come I'm not getting it? They keep calling me in. And it's interesting because it took me a while to realize this. And I had an actor friend who told me several months ago that we were talking about this casting director. She was like, oh, she hates me. She goes, I go in for her all the time and I never book anything. And I go, well, she calls you in a lot, but she hates you? That makes no sense. Clearly, she likes you. She keeps calling you in, and hopefully, eventually, you'll book something or not, but it's not her who's stopping it. So it's interesting how actors, we get in our heads and we think that we're failing when actually we're succeeding.
Also, I think it's important to remember that they're it's kind of like speed dating. They're trying to see if they want to hang out with you for a week. And if you go in there and you are a pain in the ass and want to change the lines, and I always say to people, don't go off script, even if the line doesn't feel completely right to you, except if you're Larry. But no, even if it doesn't, stick there, because you don't know if the writer's in the room, and they will cross you off so quickly if you start improvising and stuff like that. But they want to know that you're going to be a normal, decent person to hang out with for a few days. They don't want any freaks, and they don't want someone telling what their character's backstory is. They don't care. Trust me, they don't care.
She speaks the truth. She speaks the truth. Boy, don't go in with any of that crap. God. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, when I wrote a Seinfeld episode, and I got to see people audition when they did my episode, and things, people would come in all the same way, like do a little shtick, and and it doesn't matter. It's just you come in, be friendly, but you don't score points. Like, hey, Larry, here I am living in L.A. You could picture me. That has nothing to do with getting the part. That, because people we would know would do the same stuff. Hey, Larry, hey, I got lost, not you, Larry David, in the parking lot. And we all do that same thing, I noticed. We walk out backwards, like, what do you think? Please tell me, yeah. Like, all right, yeah.
The door closes, you start hoping, are they going to call me back? Yeah. Jordan, can you hang around for a few minutes?
And even if you are crazy, don't show it in the room.
Exactly.
Wait until you're like second day on set. And
speaking of crazy, I took a bad acting teacher where she said, when Danny DeVito went in for Louis De Palma, he threw the script down and said, who wrote this shit? He became Louis De Palma. You become the guy. So I went in for an audition of like a nervous guy, and I said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the guy. So the casting director had a little dog. So I was cowering. Is he gonna bite me? Oh, and I was like pretending I was shivering, and I was like walking like on a skyscraper, and I never came back. So to that thing. So yeah.
Usually those stories are lies.
It's in the book. What?
Oh, it's in the book?
No. The
Louis De Palma.
After you booked the part to say, well, I just owned it when I went in the room.
Or threw it there. Who wrote this shit? He probably knew the guy. Yeah. He probably was his brother. Who wrote this shit?
It was like the third call back. They're all buddies by then.
And the way you walk in the room and the way you walk out of the room is just as important as everything you're doing during your read. That is so. When they sit there, they're sitting there for hours and hours, and then you walk in with confidence, with noticing people, making eye contact. That's it. Mo, hey, how you doing? And if they ask you a question, you got a chance to show, here's a little bit of my easygoing personality. And then you do your read, and then when you leave, you make eye contact and thank them. And look at people. All right. You don't go, oh, God, what did I just do?
But wait. This might be rare, but I had one where the assistant comes out and says, Jerry, we'll shake your hand, this one won't. So you ever have that thing where they're sick of shaking hands all day?
I don't shake hands.
Yeah, I don't offer unless they offer first.
Okay. Exactly. At Grey's Anatomy, they have signs up, no handshaking. They have
Get out of here.
They have signs up, big circle.
I've seen that before.
Like the 8th time I went in, the assistant came out, John, and he came out and got me. He comes over and he goes, Jim, I swear to God, and he's shaking my hand. He goes, I swear to God, we are going to get you on this goddamn show. It was 2 more times before I did it.
Larry?
I just would like to take the... I think you should just fuck all that. Go in and just be yourself and just do what you came to do, which is get the part. All that other stuff is just, come on, man. Just go in the room, do the thing and go home. That's all.
Yeah, there's no science to it. You just got
Because
to
here's the thing, I used to say I'm going to go in there because I want them to want me. But the paradigm, it's all the paradigm you go in with. The paradigm I go in with now is, I don't know whether I want to work with these people. So I make judgments. I go in there and I say, is this a room full of assholes or not? That's what I have in mind. Do I want to work with these people? And it kind of gives me whatever energy I need, but I don't care if I came in right. I don't care if I leave right. I don't care if I schmooze right. I don't care. If I like the job, if I like the part, then I'm going to really try hard to get it by doing my homework. And if I don't, now, the other thing, all this stuff applies. I'm just giving you something else, too. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying you can do whatever you want, You're in charge, not them. They have to, hire somebody. The other thing is, it's the paradigm. That's all. I'm going to just...
And also, I think a thing to remember is, and again, this is another thing it took me a long time to figure out this whole audition thing, and I still haven't gotten it right, I'm sure. But one thing that I realized was they want you, when they're sitting there and you're coming in the room, they're hoping you're the person that's going to book this job. So they're actually on your side. And I spend a lot of time going like, oh, these dicks, they're going to make me do this dance. And then they're not going to give it to me. And it's like, no, they're like hopeful, because I've worked as a staff writer as well. And I remember I was writing on a show and they were casting it. And we were looking at the tapes and we were watching all these tapes. And all we're doing is watching and saying, oh my God, I hope you're the one. Let's watch this. I hope and a lot of times it was like, oh, she's great. She's not right for this, but God, I wish she was. So and that, as an actor, taught me something like, oh, they're rooting for me. They actually are, they called you in. If they don't want to see you, you don't get the audition. If you're auditioning, it's because someone down the line either saw your picture or your reel, or they talked to your agent and was like, yeah, that sounds like the right person for this part. I'd like to meet him or her, so.
I want to start auditioning again. Who's your agent? Well, mine is useless.
No, I think that's...
I got it now.
You cannot take any of this personally. You can't beat yourself up afterwards. I used to say I do my best auditions on the car ride home. But, because you're going over what you did. Oh, I screwed that. But bottom line is, no acting teacher, no class, is going to teach you. You are all on your own path. So, and nobody, you can listen to everybody's story.
And it's so arbitrary.
It is.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I want you to say it.
All right. I auditioned. Remember there was a revival of The Love Boat, of like a pathologically shy guy, and you just know you're not connecting. Then I booked it at same part Norm Macdonald show. He had a show Norm and laughing. Same part almost. I'm too timid to talk, and he's great. So it's arbitrary. It's like women. No.
What?
No. I'm talking about you either have a connection or not.
Oh, it's like dating.
Dating, yes.
Dating. Okay.
Men too. I'm saying
you women are just arbitrary.
No, women are arbitrary.
No. I meant you can't define why there's a thing like she likes me. You can't. I made a joke. The way to get a woman to like you is she has to like you. Meaning it's almost predetermined. And same thing with an audition. I could go to one woman, hi, I'm nervous, I'm Fred, I'm picking a scab. Oh, you're great. All right, I'm exaggerating. But you know what I'm saying? Being yourselves. With some of them, you're like, I'm like Hinckley too. Some I'm like Johnny Depp. Well, just only one. But I'm saying it's arbitrary.
Got it.
So you
Well,
can't
most
figure it
women
out.
find scab picking hot.
Yeah.
Very, very.
I'm quitting.
Huge turn on.
Fred, where did we just go?
I don't know. Let's get back on
went
track.
somewhere.
I had a point. The point is that there's no science to it. It's just showing up.
Well, and actually, if you want to really see how it is, offer to be a reader for any casting session. As soon as you can, as often as you can, go in on casting sessions and sit there and watch people walk in that room, and you'll see that
And
this is
give
all
away
true.
their power.
Oh, yeah.
They walk in the door and give up their power the minute they walk in the door. It's like, wow, it's amazing.
Can I just say my book is more coherent than what I just said?
That was the
I hope
third
so.
pitch.
Yes,
You
it
read
is. Yes, it is. I read his book. His book is very good.
Okay, got a couple of questions from the audience here. One in particular that is from both the delusional diva and sexy Italian man. That was what they put as
Oh, I
their
gave
names.
myself up.
Yeah. For question
Sorry.
about your experience with representation with agents and managers, and if there's any advice.
I've been bitter enough, so you guys talk.
I would say when I was first starting out, it seemed like the hardest thing in the world was try to get representation. And then you learn that once you get representation, which you will get representation, that's going to happen. If you stick with it, they will find you. And eventually you get to a point where it's just like, I wish there was a way to do this without representation. You know what I mean, it gets to a point where it's when you got a few credits, it's not that hard to get representation. And then you start thinking like, why did I put getting an agent at such a high thing when it's like it really is. And it really is about that individual and your relationship with them and whether or not they're going to work hard for you. It doesn't matter. I've been with the biggest agencies and I've been with small agencies, and the only difference was if my agent or my manager was working hard for me. And if they were, it made a difference. If they weren't, it didn't matter how big the agency was or how small it was. So, yeah, and I would say, if you want an agent in this day, in my day, there was no way to get on television, until you had an agent. But I did theater. So I did theater. I got an agent eventually because an agent saw me in a show. Now you have the internet. And cameras are cheap. Downloading it to your computer is cheap. Put your little short webisodes up there. And if you keep doing that on a consistent level, they'll see it. If you do theater, they'll see you, and you will have an agent.
Yeah, do everything. I mean, really do everything. Be in comedy shows, be in drama, make webisodes.
Acting classes.
Just keep acting classes. I still am in acting class, and I went through a bunch of acting classes like you did, where it was like, wow, we're working on All My Sons for 6 months, and I get to do my scene every 6 weeks once, and then we work on it. And then I finally got with this other guy, Brian Reese, who we don't, yes.
He's here.
We don't do any of that crap. It's just about how to get a job. That's all it is. And it's like, you go in and you're handed lines to, you don't work on anything for 6 months. My God, this is ridiculous.
Well, you sit there, nowhere did I beat myself up like in acting class when it's not real life. I said I got tired of being the funny one in class. I wanted to be in the real world. There's a few people, my advice would be, a few friends of mine, very, very talented, but they never left the comfort zone of acting class, where they would I'm not ready, I'm going to the master class, and then this is the big one, I get graduated up, and one guy, he's like 50, and he's still in acting class, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're doing other things in the real world, but it was this false comfort zone, and yeah.
You got to be willing to face the constant rejection. You have to get past the fear of rejection, because I don't care how big you get in this industry, you are going to face constant rejection. And if you can't take that, you are in the wrong business.
So in other words, be in the trenches, but you don't have to be the guy with the greatest craft that only works on his craft. That's, like I said, going to make you some of my friends that are still in acting class, because, I got to get a little bit better at eyesight and walking through a thing.
Well, and especially in TV, where they don't give a crap about your craft. They don't give a crap. On Arliss, we had a guy on once, a guest star, who was super craft, and literally in between takes taking, I don't know where he learned his craft, but he was like, and he would do a full-on performance for every off-camera line. He would screw up an off-camera line, and he would stop the take going, God, you are such a phony. And it was like, whoa, wow, what are we doing? And we were already, it was a week-long shooting schedule, so we were stuck with this guy. And it was insane. It was insane, and they don't care. Nobody cares. The crew is laughing at you if you're doing that stuff, My character wouldn't do that. My character wouldn't say that. My character wouldn't dress like this. I don't know. It's all that crap. That's just crap. Sorry.
And guest stars do that. I've heard that in wardrobe. I've heard people say, I'm sorry, my character just wouldn't wear it. I'm sorry, what? You're getting paid a very nice sum. Shut up, put the clothes on.
Speaking of clothes, a friend of mine who's a comedian, and she's insecure. She, and she's caused trouble, mad about you because she wants that dress, and can't you have me wear something else? Make them look. You're not there to be gorgeous. You know what I mean? She was causing a stink because can't that woman do my hair? And I don't like how it looks.
Wow.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't work a lot when you get that reputation.
Yeah.
And news
not
travels
unless you're a
really
series
fast.
regular.
Unless you're already a star.
News travels so fast. I mean, when people are just a dick on the show, that gets around. People know, and people hear, oh, no, stay away from her, stay away from him.
She was on Dr. Katz. It's an animated show where you're squiggly, and she called up, what am I going to wear? The same woman. I should.
What are they not have her character
I
in?
am not. I talked to the
How were they going to dress her character?
Yeah, she said they made her look fat. There are people in animation who are scared about how the animators make them look. No. If it's based on a real person, yeah.
Did we answer the agent manager question
I don't
enough?
think
Did
so.
anybody else have anything to say?
How to get an agent?
We kind of branched to acting classes, which was
There's
great.
no one answer, I don't think, to how to get an agent. You just got to be doing it.
You just got to do it.
You got to be doing it. You got to be doing everything. You got to be taking acting classes. You got to be doing theater. You got to be shooting student films, short films.
And they don't need to be your friend. For years, I thought, no. They just
prefer that they're not.
Exactly. And you need to have somebody who you are actually okay with representing you, because that's what they are doing. They are representing you. So if you're like, this person's funky, I wouldn't want to sit next to them on a bus, probably not the one for you. And if you think, well, this might be my only opportunity, it won't be, trust me. This is a very cyclical industry.
Or let them represent you until you get better representation.
You are a cold man.
It's a business. It's a business.
Yeah, it's a business.
Some representation, I think, is better than no representation.
I agree with that, kind of.
I would say, I never really had to look for an agent because when I got the Laverne and Shirley show, which was the first time, I was in, like I say, improv, I was in theater, I was in San Francisco, I wasn't even in the city, and I got a call because Penny Marshall had seen me in the show up there and said, for this part, there's a guy in San Francisco, get him down. So I was phoned down, not with an agent, did the show, and then an agent actually came into the office. See, they did it, I guess, different. Yeah. My agent came into the Laverne and Shirley office and said, has anybody been on your show that doesn't have an agent? And they said, oh, yeah, there was a guy named Larry Hankin. And then he said, well, do you have his number? And he called me. He said, do you have an agent? No. Okay. Do you want one? Yeah. Okay. So that's rare. But if I had to do it now, what I would do, and what I have been doing, even though I don't need an agent or I don't want an agent, is I do a lot of, I go to UCLA, I go to USC, and I just volunteer to the kids there who are doing their, digital, in film school, who are doing digital movies, for their film homework. And I say, well, do you need an older guy? Because they're just using their friends. And I'm always hired, oh, great, we need a guy. Wow, yeah. Boom, so I'm in all these student films, which get put on YouTube. So if I had to start, that's what I would do. I would go to where they make things that get me onto an image, where they make movies. Where do they make movies? All the colleges around here in LA. And I just say, hey, and I work for free. Not because I don't need the money, it's because I just want to see what's going on. I want to just keep my chops up. And as a gift, a free gift, I get on YouTube, and if I did need an agent, I could just say, hey, go on here, go on here, go on here, go on. And I send them all the links. So that's the way. But I guess the overriding thing is if you need an agent, you're going to have to just do research. A lot of these suggestions are really cool. But if you start asking around, just networking and stuff, because that's all it is. It's just getting info. And then you'll find out how this town works. And until that's the same thing with auditions. You get to be good at auditions by doing a lot of auditions, not by planning ahead on how you're going to do the audition. Just do a lot of auditions, and you see, oh, I get it. That's all. Now, you either get it fast or slow, but that's your own learning curve. So, you're on your own. That's a good thing.
Advice, this is from Jeff in the audience. When's your first time as a guest star on a show, what's your #1 rule of etiquette? When it's your first time on a show, you get hired as a guest star, what's your #1 rule of etiquette?
First thing is go to the AD, find out where your dressing room is. Do you have a Winnebago or not? Probably not. Then you go to then you find, okay, where's my wardrobe? In other words, I don't schmooze, I don't do anything. I just know the steps of I go find the AD, find my dressing room, find my sides, find the costume guy, find out where you should be. That's all you do. Find out, when do I go on? All the stuff you need. And then you can schmooze or whatever. But it's a job,
I would say
I'm an independent entrepreneur. That's what I am.
Know your lines, hit your marks. Try not to cause any sort of slowdown in production. That's on every job when you're a guest star, I think. It's like, don't be the one who doesn't know their lines. Don't be the one that's slowing down production.
Be on time.
By the way, when you're a guest star, you're not a star.
It's like porno star. The way they're called porno star,
What? Wait, what?
term. No, I'm not right. I'm the bad guy again. No, meaning they're called stars. They're not stars.
They're not stars.
That's what I meant.
But, right, yeah.
Sorry. The book is very legit. I'm crazy up here.
Please buy his book.
It is. I've read
I want them to be able to say he wrote the book on the guest star life.
I got it. It's an
get it?
oxymoron. Porno star, guest stars.
What you call me now?
Also, there's a great documentary, too, called That Guy Who Was in That Thing, that I would recommend.
Watch the documentary and buy the book. See, I'm working
And buy the
for
book.
you.
Half.
You're welcome. Say please and thank you, and hang up your wardrobe, because those people.
I always do.
So do I, and I always get comments about it because
Hang up your
Don't make a mess in the
you
room.
are a guest in their home for a week or for a few days. So act like you would if you were a guest in someone's home, and don't expect that they'll know your name.
Yeah, don't suggest things to make the show better.
Exactly. Unless you're walking around with an Academy Award for the screenplay you just wrote, do not make any suggestions.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Do not make a suggestion. Be pleasant.
When you're a
Be
guest,
Pleasant,
don't be
on
Borat,
time,
by the way.
Know your lines. Hang up your wardrobe. That's brilliant. I always do, and I never think about it.
Of course you do.
I have to hang up my clothes at home.
On Raymond, I was familiar enough to ask them to autograph a script. I had a charity, and they were auctioning it off. But don't ask for stuff for eBay. Don't go, hey, could you autograph this? Monica, yeah. Hey, can I take a picture with you? Yeah.
Behave the way you would if you were meeting the family of someone you just started dating and you wanted to impress them.
Nice.
Be polite, be nice.
Bless you.
Don't leave them with a horror story when you
When
leave.
someone sneezes, say bless you. See what I just did? Look at me.
Do you? Sorry.
Go ahead, Jessica.
No, go ahead. Fred,
Peter
Jessica.
Bonners, we talked about him earlier, what you worked with. He was directing a Murphy Brown, and Candice Bergen was kind of having a dispute with, I forgot his name, one of the stars, and Bonners goes, Fred, step over there. Meaning the guest guy can't be privy to a little fun fight. So it's like they were fighting in front of me. And so
in front of company.
Yes. So I didn't want
to. In that regard, I have a good thing. This was just a fun thing for me to see as a guest star. I was on Roseanne once years ago, and this was when she was going with Tom. And Tom would sit next to her at the table read. And there's, the table read, you're surrounded by producers and writers and all these people, and they're laughing hysterically. And Martin Mull had a set of line that got a huge laugh. And Roseanne said, I shouldn't really be saying their names. This woman who was the star of the show.
the star of the show, Roseanne, we won't say her name, but
said, she goes, I thought that was my line. And Tom goes, what? And she said, that was my line. And in an earlier version of the script, that was my line. And he said, I don't know, honey. I don't know about that. And then you could sort of, this tension was going, and I was sitting across from Martin Mull, and this was his line that he just said, and he just did this thing where he just kind of went blank. He just stared like this. And it was a very zen thing to do, and he just kind of was gone. And I was watching this whole argument going, oh my God, can you believe what I'm getting to see? The producers came over. I don't think so, Rosie. I don't think so. Blah, blah, blah. No, that was mine. Blah, blah, blah. And Tom's arguing with her, and Martin Mull this entire time. Finally, the ended. Okay, where were we? And then Martin Mull went, so. And it was like he was never.
Yeah, you got to
went,
stay out of the
look at that. Oh my God, I'm going to do that.
Oh yeah, you got to stay out of the way when they're fighting, and
yeah,
you know, or just stop. When I was on Wizards of Waverly Place, Selena Gomez, I see her iPhone, Justin, and I want to, and the friend's going, "Don't answer it. He's just a guy. Ignore him." I go, "I'm pretending I'm invisible." Oh, what Justin Bieber? Oh, wow. Yeah.
You really want to know, like,
yeah.
oh my God. Answer it.
Goes,
Tell him I'm here.
Oh, he's a jerk. All guys are the same, so you can't like do what I was doing. Like, what's happening? But
your boyfriend Justin Bieber is calling.
Yeah.
How exciting!
Don't do tweets or don't do gossip. Don't take pictures of things and put it on your Facebook because there's a confidentiality I found out. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got almost in trouble.
Well, especially on
here's
kids'
me
shows.
and my friend and the guy who kills Bryan Cranston. Hey. Oh, whoa. No, I didn't do that. But yeah, you can't. Yeah, don't bug them. Yeah, don't bug them. Well, when I was on Wizards of Waverly Place, I was new to Twitter. I said to David Henry, "Hey, can you tweet me?" Yeah, sure. But he was a good guy. But yeah, don't do what I've done. That's why it's a funny book. I'm an idiot. I made mistakes. Sorry.
So
what
in
was,
the book, yeah. In this day and age, can you make a living just doing TV guest star parts?
If you book enough of them.
No, I used to do really well when it was network. There used to be but then, because they'd rerun it foreign, now they got this cable AFTRA thing. And I know you merged, but what the hell's going on? Oh, sorry. It's a thing where something's weird, where it's not. I did the show Ned's Declassified, and I did a whole bunch of them. Those residual checks. So something with cable, they're gonna fix it. So cable, not the living when I was doing a lot of network guest stars, but it's not bad.
I don't understand the question. In other words, if the question is, can you make a living as an actor?
From not having like a lead series recurring regular.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done a series. I've never been a regular. I've never been I was a recurring once on Friends. I did 5. I think 6 you become a regular. So. And they killed me off. I had a heart attack. My character had a heart attack, which pissed me off. You know, I don't need it. I don't need that.
He doesn't need it.
So, 1 day, 2 days, fine. Don't I? So I did. I have made a living not being a regular or recurring. The upside of that, and I really think it's all upside for me, is that I have time to live a life and do other things. I really have many, many interests. I'm a filmmaker. I mean, that's what I do, is I make films. If I was a regular, I couldn't do that. But some people aren't filmmakers, so okay, be recurring and stuff. So what I've done, I guess, is I've made my life and my work compatible to what I want to do. So I think my lifestyle and how I make a living as an actor in public, as for hire, suits me great. But I don't know how many other people it would suit, because I don't have a family to support. So, that's really big. Mortgage is a great driver of career. So I avoided that. I avoid any kind of pressure. Any kind of pressure at all. If it's pressure, I'm gone.
Someone made the expression, poor rich man, or I got rich man money. I could get lattes a lot, and, what am I?
I think it depends on what you consider a living. So, for me, the goal is not to have a day job, because those are horrible. And I've been there, and it's soul-sucking. And the minute you get to the point, when you're first starting out, your goal is, if I just don't have to go here anymore, that's all I want. I just don't have to get up at 8 and drive there. And then when you get there, it's nice, but then you want more. It's the problems. It's like, now if I could just buy that house, but really for me, a big goal was if I could just not have to have a day job. I made that goal, and now my goal is to maintain that. I really don't want to have to, go back to selling groceries.
I mean, see, I guess the thing is that you can graduate to movies and films, which is a lot of actors do. So, I mean, and then you can be a filmmaker and make your own films. You can be, that's what I see as the reason I'm in Southern California and Hollywood and Los Angeles, is there is, there's media here, and that's what I do. I'm a media performer, whether I work for you or I make it myself. But that's the life that I designed. So look at it that way. You don't have to do one thing. You don't have to be a recurring. You don't have to be a star. But you could, and you could only do that. But then your life is that.
Well, actually, in a good way, maybe it's good for 20 years I've never been a regular, and because I learned to live the way I live. I don't need, I got to have that pool and, all these things. So I don't have that. My accountant says he has many showbiz people. They have property, but they're always living in fear if they don't work for 6 months, their mortgage. So in a way, it's a blessing that I'm thrilled. Ooh, I'm going to do something with Ryan Reynolds and just hand him a gun and get flown to Atlanta for that. So maybe I'm more excited that getting these little things, because I'm saying, I haven't been spoiled where, I'm used to always being, a star of a show. So it makes me excited about all these little things still.
And yeah, you can make a living at it. It might be an inconsistent living. So it depends. Again, I think it's a very cyclical industry. And I've gone for times when I'm just working, and then I can't even get a call back for a year. So, and does my talent change? No. So you just have to prepare yourself mentally for that and not drink heavily when that part is happening.
And not think how it used to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because it's very, very different than it used to be.
Oh, my God.
Very different. You used to have a quote. It used to be that, if you did a guest star and blah, 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 you had a quote of how much you worked for. Now there are no quotes. There are no quotes. If you're a guest star, you're just, it's,
Scale sounds good.
Scale plus 10. Scale plus 10. And
that's partly due to the fact that the networks are making less money because there's more channels. People are playing video games. I mean, the future of television is not bright. And so, they just don't have the kind of money to throw around. They're not making the syndication dollars they used to make, I'm not taking up for the networks, trust me, but
when I say the way
there's just less money to hand out now.
When I say the way it used to be, I don't only mean just the climate of the business. I mean where your life was. When people go, I used to be a stud, or I used to do this. You could kill yourself. I used to get so many gigs as a stand-up. You know what I mean? That's when it's not healthy to,
Also, I guess it's a cliche, but it sometimes it works. I used to. There's two halves to my career. One is when I was just a working actor or trying to get work, and you just sit by the phone and you'd wait for your agent to call and you'd go for auditions and then one day I decided I've got all this time waiting around. Why don't I write my own whatever, my own movie, my own film short, my own sitcom, whatever. So I would fill that time of waiting, and that became the second part where I start to get interested in that free time where I wasn't working on my own stuff, and that's how I became a filmmaker. So my point being that if you find that you're just sitting around waiting for the audition or waiting to get, then you're not on top of your own life. You're just waiting for the winds of fate, and they hardly blow. So if you're waiting around, do something with that waiting around. Be, I hate this word, proactive.
But it's what it is.
But yeah, in other words, there's stuff that you can do nowadays. I didn't have a digital camera when I started, but now I have a digital camera. If I'm waiting around for more than a day, I'm out shooting. And it goes on YouTube or it goes to a film festival. But think about the holes that you can fill to get where you're going that doesn't depend on your agent or your, in other words, it's information. What you need is information.
Don't not live your life for this career. Don't
waiting. Don't wait.
Don't
if you're
not-
waiting, you're doing something wrong.
Don't not
That's
go on vacation because your agent just said that it's almost episodic season. Go on vacation.
Creative.
You know, don't stop living your life just because you are thinking that you might get an audition. No, Go live your life. Be happy.
And the advice I always give to actors starting out is to write. Even if you think you're not a writer, you are. I did not think I was a writer, and I've made a lot of money writing in this business because people offer me writing jobs because I forced myself to write or I was forced to write. And if you look at, like, particularly in television, whether it's Jerry Seinfeld or Ray Romano or Larry David, whose faces we all know as these television stars, it's because they wrote those shows. You know, they created those shows. They had something that they could take and say, here's a vehicle for me, as opposed to sitting around and waiting for pilot season and to audition for something and hope they book some series that somebody else created, you know, because that's the reality of this business is we're all so unique that it's going to be very hard to get lucky that the part I'm auditioning for this pilot that is going to be hot, that's going to get picked up, that's going to run 7 years, I'm going to be right for that role. But if you write something for yourself in mind, with yourself in mind, then your odds are a little bit better.
Well, I think it's about time that we just about have to wrap it up. My last question was going to be your best advice for all the actors in the audience. We just heard some great pieces of advice, but any last little nuggets of wisdom for everybody before episodic season?
What you were just saying, when people ask me about stand-up, let's say, how do you do it? You go to a school, you can't learn to be funny, but I would say go to a stand-up thing to be with people at your level to share information. That's a thing. Whatever you're doing, you know, you can't be in a vacuum, so it's always good. And other thing is, yes, don't be on Facebook too much comparing. Oh, he's doing this. That'll kill you. It's self-explanatory. But,
yeah, and I guess the other thing is this rejection thing. Again, it's a paradigm. What you're looking for is a job. What you're looking for is somebody to be for you. What you're not looking for is you're not right, we're going in another direction. You're not looking for that. So if somebody says that to you, and you get said it all the time, that has nothing to do with you. What you're looking for is a yes, or work for me, or let's do this. The other stuff is not rejection. It's just not what you're looking for. I don't know why they call it rejection. It's just not what you're looking for. I'm not interested in, you know, diving off a 90-foot board, and I'm not looking for rejection. It's just not in my sphere. I'm just looking to go ahead. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you.
No, you.
You.
We'll fight.
Ladies
we'll fight.
first.
Let's
Ladies
go.
first.
Come on.
Ladies first.
No, I think, you know, this morning I got a call from my manager about a guest star role that I did, and I was cut. And he was very timid when he called me. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know that they've called, and they're going to get in touch with you, but you've been cut from the show. And I went, okay. 5 years ago, that would have destroyed me. Or no, not 5 years ago. Let's go 10. 10 years ago, that would have destroyed me, and I would have felt that it was due to something. It has nothing to do with anything. It has to do that they ran out of time for the main story, and I was the story mover alonger, and it was a great role. If they're watching, but no, it was not important. And that's what I always say to people. Please, if this industry is killing you or making you feel bad about yourself, get out. Don't do it. You have to love what you do. And I think we do, because it's inconsistent, but when you're doing it, it's the best drug in the world. And I wish it were a constant fix. It's not. But just love what you do, and don't ever let this industry make you feel unworthy. And buy Fred's book.
yes, I was going to say that. That's my advice. Maybe we'll have you back. The Life of a Perennial TV Guest Star. It'll fix everything.
You whore.
Total whore.
No, I would just say keep doing everything. Keep doing everything you can, and be willing to let it all go. I've been in I've had several stage shows, Girly Magazine Party, Shelf Life, that have been turned into movies. Where we shot all the movie and blah, 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 and there aren't even credits on the movie because they were never released, nothing ever happened. And these were my heart and soul. And I have to just go, well, I got to let that go. I have a tape, I have a beautiful tape of this movie that I was the star of and blah, 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 blah. But you just keep doing everything. I mean, anything that interests you, get out there, be in a class. Don't be in a class where anybody makes you cry because you suck. Get out of that class. I mean, ever. That's just bull.
Yeah, they bring up the past. You weren't as pretty as your sister Melissa. That's bullshit.
But, yeah, just keep plugging away and let it go.
Don't let acting class be your therapy. Yeah. I see a lot of actors waste their time in acting class treating it like it's therapy, and that's not what it's supposed to help you get a job. That's it. And I would say there's no amount of money that can make up for how good it feels to wake up every day doing what you want to do, as opposed to what you have to do. So that is for me, because I know what it's like to wake up and have to do something that you don't want to do just to pay the bills. So if you can get to a point where you can make even if it's just a little bit of money to keep doing what you love, then let that be a goal.
Well, I don't think I've laughed so hard or gotten so much great advice all in an hour and a half here. I just want to thank you all. Larry Hankin, Tara Karsian, Fred Stoller, Jim Turner, and Jordan Black. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for coming. Thanks everyone on the live stream.
My dad was neighbor.